I just apologize, y'all. In 2024, I didn't understand how to keep my hands off other people. I don't think I could have made it here. Have you ever done something so bad to somebody that you love dearly? Somebody so close to you that literally was like a parent, and it took you nearly a decade to come back from it? Well, half of y'all probably not even old enough to have gone through something for that long, but this is what happened to me when I made the wrong move and dug myself in a hole that literally I'm still digging myself out of now. This happened when I was 17 years old. I had just gotten out of high school. I had just started messing with Triple OG. If you don't know who Triple OG is, I will link that story of that playlist right here about my messy, toxic relationship. He is who I was with right after high school, and we were at this time living with his mother, his brother, his mother, his brother, his sister, her 2 children, his brother's baby mama, and her 3 kids. Triple OG, he had him a little street business, but at this time it wasn't going that well. He was just getting twos and fews. I wasn't really braiding nobody's hair like that. I was like totally dependent on him and his family and whatever they had going on in the house. And it was a rocky moment, right? And I remember us like, calling around asking to borrow stuff, and just seeing what we could do for money. His mom and them was like going to give blood, like everybody was doing something, but it was just never enough. It just wasn't enough. And everybody besides me, like, I was like doing the least because I was just braiding hair occasionally. But anyway, so I had my stuff was still at my grandmother's house where I was staying before I moved there, right? Because I would be back and forth between my mom and my grandma's house. So all of my stuff was there. The house was already crowded. It didn't make no sense for me to bring all my stuff there and make it worse, right? So I just have a bag, and where I get a week or so worth of clothes, and then I go switch it out or whatever. Still got a key to my grandma's house, so I can go there, as I please. So one day I go there to shower, which is a regular thing for me to do, and I usually would stay an hour or 2, maybe even 3 hours, watch TV, whatever, get dressed, rearrange my stuff, wash my clothes, whatever. And at this point, I ain't gonna lie, sometimes I was bringing some of his clothes to wash too. I wouldn't bring too much, because if you use all the soap powder, she gonna know. But I would bring, little stuff or whatever stuff he would send with me. So y'all, I always been nosy. Even as a little kid, I remember like going through my daddy's stuff, going through my mama's stuff, just to see what was in there. I never took nothing, until I took something. Bruh. But I would always go through people's stuff. If you left me home alone, I'm opening drawers, seeing what's in there, whatever, right? So this, I'm still like that at 17 years old. There was this storage room, right? It was like literally a bedroom that wasn't being used, because it really was just my grandma and me staying there sometimes, and everybody else would come there, but nobody really lived there but her. And it's a 3-bedroom, so it's one room in the back that we use kind of like a storage room. So it was just like boxes of stuff. If you had something that didn't fit in your room, extra pieces of furniture. My cousins had stuff that they were storing there. My great auntie, like my mama, everybody had something in that room. You could take it there. It was gonna be safe in that room, right? So I'm just going in there. I probably had some stuff in there. I'm just going in there looking around, seeing, oh, such and such got this here. Oh, I see this and I see that, right? So I'm looking, and I see a jug of Tide, washing detergent, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, well, let me get the detergent and take it in there, because it obviously goes in the laundry room, right? So I grabbed a jug, right? And I try to pick it up, because I'm gonna take it in the other room, and it's heavy as hell, right? And I'm like, oh, hell no. Like, it's so heavy that it almost pulled me down when I try to pick it up, right? So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm tripping. So I grab it again, right? Same thing. It's heavy as hell. So I'm like, okay, this is not washing detergent, right? So I unscrew the little cap, and I look inside, and I see some coins. Then I shake it, and I hear some coins. So I'm like, this is some coins. So I got all these questions now. I'm like, I wonder how much in there. Whose is this? I didn't see this before because I look in here all the time. I didn't see this before, and I wonder if whoever it is, I wonder if they would let me have it. Like, I just literally got all these thoughts going in my head, right? Screw the top back on, put it back wherever it was, or I didn't move it, so I screw the top back on, leave it where it is. I leave, right? So a week or so go by, I come change my clothes again, right? And same thing, I stay there for a couple hours, watch some TV, switch my stuff out, wash my clothes, right? And I go and I peek in the room again. Still change jar, still there, you know what I'm saying? And it's just sitting there, and I'm like, okay, whatever, everything is still the same, right? I would regularly go into this room just to check and see what new stuff people was dropping off. Like, I'm just being nosy, right? So a couple months go by, maybe like 2 months, maybe 3 months go by, and I still see the change jar there. So one day I go and I'm like, and I needed some money. I probably needed some gas or something like that, because I did have a little car, but I probably, needed some gas. I don't know what it was. I felt like I was in need, and I felt like, y'all, because I come from a family who, back then, 15 years ago, right? 15 years ago, when there was actually a middle class still, my family was middle class, right? And I felt like, compared to my other family, my daddy's side of the family, they had money. Whoever had this change jar here, this is my thinking. This is not how I think now, of course, but this is me, 17-year-old kid. Whoever had this change jar here, it's probably been here, because, stuff could have got moved around. It probably was hiding behind something. It's probably been here for God knows how long. And, everybody got money. Like, they're not going to mind if I take $10, $20, out of it, because it's changed. They got money. Like, this is my thinking, right? Now I understand it's not just about something, being considered significant or insignificant. If it's not yours, you don't touch it. This story taught me that lesson, and is part of the reason why I am who I am today. But at this time, I'm thinking, who's gonna miss some change? Like, it's change. They got money. They got thousands and thousands of dollars. They don't care about no change. So I take like $15, $20 of it, right? Take it, going by my way. A couple weeks later, when I come back, I'm like, change jar still seem heavy. I'm gonna just take a few more dollars. So I took $15, $20 more, right? Now, I did this maybe 4 times, took about $15, $20 at a time, right? And then one day I was just like, I don't know what came over me. I guess the fact that I had taken the change over a course of a couple months and nobody noticed it. That was like my justification back then, that, nobody's going to miss this. And see, they don't even care about it, because they don't care. This is probably what's going on in my head. I can't tell you exactly, but this is the way that my 17-year-old self was trying to justify what I was doing, even though I knew damn well it was wrong. I knew damn well that wasn't my stuff to be taken. I don't care if it was $1. I should have left it where it was at, but I was broke, and I was obviously, my moral compass had shifted, because I wasn't raised to take nobody's stuff. But I always had stuff. I never had a need until then. That was actually at 17 years old, y'all, believe it or not, was the first time I ever felt a need, and I felt like, these are my people, and they have so much. There's so much abundance around them that, something so insignificant, that means so much to me, obviously, because I need it and I would risk taking it, but it doesn't mean a lot to them. That's just what I was thinking. But anyway, so I've taken a little bit, then one day I take the whole jar, right? One day I take the jar. Now I go to the coin store, turn it in. I think it was probably like $250, maybe $300 left in there, and I had already took about $100. So the total about $400. To the best of my recollection, that's how much it was in there. If you ask my uncle, he will tell you that it was probably about $600. I'm not saying that he's lying, but I'm just telling you how I remember it now. So I took it. And I was like, damn, I knew it was wrong. I knew I shouldn't have been doing it, but at that point I just couldn't help myself. Took the change, right? So now about 6 months later, my grandma called me and she like,
hey, have you seen, it was a change jar, and it was a tie thing in that room in the back, and it had some change in it. Have you seen it?
and y'all, I was so embarrassed. I'm like, damn, you called. I lied. And I was like, nope, I ain't seen it. Nope. So now they go through, because like I said, a lot of people have keys to this house. Only a select few have keys to the house, but a lot of people do have stuff here. So there may be a time where somebody call and be like, hey, I'm trying to drop by the house and get this out that room. Is you there? And we'll let somebody in, and you know what I'm saying, they'll go in there, right? So it's a lot of people who could have come there. So now they're asking around the family, and this is a time, y'all, where if you go and watch the story, you'll see that I wasn't really coming around them like that. But now I later found out that they were going around asking everybody, did you go there and get this? Did you, have you been by the house? Have you did this? Have you did that? So they trying to get down to the bottom of who took this, right? This is unbeknownst to me, right? But obviously I knew, since my granny asked me about it, like, they was wondering, but I thought like, oh, okay, I said it wasn't me, I ain't never took none before, they gonna believe me, like, it's gonna be good, right? So finally, after about, 3 months later, after I got the call that she was looking for the change and trying to find out, who took it, right? I get another call from my mama. My mama like,
Denise, have you seen this change jar?
and I'm like, no, mom, I ain't seen it or whatever. Now, at this point now, I'm like, I think since this is the second person that called me, I think they know, but I can't admit to doing this, because this is ultimate betrayal. I have to try to lie my way out of this. This is the only way I could save face. This was my thinking back then. I remember this part clearly. The only way I can save face is by lying. I cannot tell the truth. I cannot do it. I'm so embarrassed. I cannot admit to actually doing this and thinking that this was right. I can't. It got to be somebody else, right? So yeah, my mama asked me about it, and then I don't hear about it for maybe 2 or 3 more months. Then my granny called me again, like,
I know you took it. It couldn't have been nobody else. We'd already asked around. You the one had opportunity. You over there with that dude, and he got your mind messed up.
That's what she said. And there was some truth. There was some influence, I will say. I did what I did. He didn't ask me to go over there. He didn't know the change was over there. It was not his fault. It's not something that he made me do. I did what I did. I made a conscious decision. I seen the opportunity and I took it. He did not coerce me. I was not persuaded. I did wrong. I did it. Okay? But I will say, when you hang around people and they are doing certain things, you can be influenced to shift your morals and your values to fit in to where you are living, to where you are spending your time and your energy. Okay? There is truth to that. Okay? There's truth to that. But it was all me. I did it. He didn't know about it. I took it. I was wrong. Okay? Now, I'm still, like I said, this is almost a year later. I'm still lying. I know that they know it's me, but I'm just so embarrassed. And then one day I see my uncle. They finally told me in one of those conversations that it was his change. So now I feel so bad. When I tell y'all, when I used to go through it with my dad, this uncle would come and take me when I was like 11, 12. He would come and take me to the arcade. He would come and take me. Oh, I knew I was going to do this. I'm sorry, and I'm getting a little choked up. Do not feel sorry for me. I'm so glad this happened. It taught me so much, okay? It taught me so much, but I was so wrong, and I hurt him so bad, because he would literally take me places. He done took me to amusement parks and arcades and just whatever. When I was going through with my daddy, or my daddy, it seemed like he didn't have time for me, he would step up. I do apologize. Well, he would step up and he would be there for me, and I lost a relationship that could have changed my life because I was stupid, okay? Because I was an idiot, because I didn't understand how to keep my hands off other people's So I'm sharing this so that you don't make the same mistake. No matter how old you are, it's never worth it. That happened when I was 17, right? Here we are. I'm 35. So after it finally came out, I finally admitted it probably like 2 years later. And I was so embarrassed, I still couldn't even apologize to him. At this point, I'm distanced from my family. And not because of that, but just because I wanted to be outside, like running the streets and stuff. So I'm not coming around a lot, to the little family events and stuff. And they really didn't they didn't have a lot of family events. It wasn't like I was missing every Easter and Christmas and all that. My family on that side didn't really get together a lot. Excuse me. They didn't really get together a lot, so it wasn't like I was missing like 12 events a year. It was just like they would occasionally 2 or 3 times a year get together, and I definitely wouldn't show up. I was so embarrassed. Everybody now knows that I did it. I would see my grandpa over the years, especially like right after it happened, 3-4 years later, and we would go to these brunches, and sometimes my uncle would be there because that's his dad, and my grandpa would sometimes make these comments that would say something about like family doing you wrong, or and him and my uncle would kind of like talk across the table, about what I did without really saying what I did. I was hurt by it. I wasn't mad at them because I made that decision, so I got to deal with whatever come with it. And nobody but my mama really talked to me about it, and because nobody but her, and she didn't really have an obligation at that point. After it all came out, I was a grown woman, had moved out and everything, my own place, and it was nobody's responsibility to come to my rescue and to stick up for me or nothing. I'm crying for the old me. I'm crying because I never would have behaved like that ever if I had just understood, how important the relationship between he and I, if I had understood the principle of like somebody taking your, thing. I didn't understand at that time, and I don't know if it came from slightly from like having everything. There are downsides to having everything. Like I had everything. I didn't want for nothing. And sometimes like you feel this sense of entitlement, like I always have everything, I always get everything I want, and that probably played into it too. It did not help that even though, like I said, my uncle he would always step up for me when my dad wasn't, or my dad and I wasn't on good terms or whatever, I couldn't see him. He would always step up for me and look out for me and take me places and do stuff with me and try to have a relationship with me. We had a little physical altercation where he did put his hands on me, and it was quite aggressive. So I did, and when I finally did take it, I do remember kind of using that like to make it okay. That didn't make it okay. That was the past. That had happened. I was a kid. I wasn't listening to what he said, and he was, my mama felt like he went a little overboard. I did feel like he went a little overboard. That didn't mean that he needed to be stolen from, but he did get physical with me. Actually, my mom didn't talk to him for about 2 years because of it, but again, that was no justification because he did so much for me. Like, people make mistakes. Like, he didn't have no kids. He didn't know how to navigate no relationship with no kid like that. When it came to them being defiant, he was just used to me just listening to him. That was new territory. But I used that to make it okay in my mind to betray him, to do him wrong, to be vindictive. And I never should have done that. I had no business. I was out of line. Now, let's fast forward. Like I said, my grandpa and them, they would talk across the table. Y'all, it was mental torture. But, of course, I never said nothing because that, and I still came around, wanted to see my family. It was my only opportunity to see him at that point was every now and again at the house, y'all. I'm telling you, it was so, you could cut the tension with a knife. He wouldn't speak to me. I was so ashamed. I just apologize, y'all. In 2024, I never had the courage to face this man because I was so wrong. I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I did that. I'm just trying to be transparent, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm about to get it out. I'm about to stop crying. But I can't believe I did this man like that. After he showed me nothing but love. After he showed me nothing but love. But, y'all, I finally did apologize. I was very proud of myself. I apologized last year. And I zailed him $1,500. And that'll never make up for it. But since he said it was like, $500 or $600, I said, okay, well, I'm going to try to kind of triple it and give him his money back. I should have gave him some money when I got the lawsuit back then. When I was doing the little play, with the guy I was with at the time. I had opportunities to pay him back. I never did. I just don't know why I couldn't face him. Why I was so embarrassed. And I'm so sorry. And Uncle, if you ever watch this again, I am so sorry. I apologize. I have never, y'all. Don't get me wrong. After that, I stole before. I did. But I've never stolen anything from another person. Ever. I've never, and I appreciate everything that I go through, but that was a hard one, y'all, because I lost a relationship for that lesson. I will never get it back. He and I, don't get me wrong, like I said, we don't really talk like that, like how we would have talked if we had been able to continue our relationship, and I would have never messed it up. We don't talk like that. He will get on the phone with me and stuff, and he gives me advice on stocks and stuff, investments, and he still look out for me, even though, like I said, I did him wrong, and he really should, he should do whatever he feel. I remember my mom was mad at him after about 8 or 10 years because he still wouldn't talk to me. And I remember her like confronting him and asking him like, what's your problem? Like, why won't you, talk to her? Like, it's been heck long. And I stopped her. I was there. And I stopped her and I was like, no, I deserve everything he gives. Everything. Because I hurt that man. And that's the only reason why this happened, is because I made a decision. So I got to deal with it. And I want to just tell y'all, you never know what you messing up. So you don't want to end up sacrificing a lifetime of experiences with a person for some change. It's crazy. It's so crazy. Like, I never thought it would be like this. But y'all, we gotta take responsibility for our actions. I did it. I was wrong. But I love my uncle to this day. The fact that he can even talk to me now about business is so wonderful. And I really believe when I had my daughter, that started the catalyst. And I have hope that maybe 15 years from now we'll actually really have a good relationship, and it'll be, everything gonna be all right. And if not, when I tell you I learned a lesson so valuable, you can't pay for this. So valuable. It was instrumental in making me the woman that I am today, and why I have that situation. That's why I have integrity now. That is exactly why. I know it's like, how can you go from taking a man who you said loved you and look out for you, taking his change and stealing from him? How can you go from that to saying that you got so much integrity? That day changed my life forever. And it brought some good, but it brought some bad too. And it was a big sacrifice for me to, kind of molt into a butterfly. I really do consider myself a good person now. I wasn't a bad person then, but I made a huge mistake. And if the lesson hadn't been taught so hard, I don't think I could have made it here. So that's why I am so grateful for what he did. I believe that if he had to start talking back to me after about 5 years or so, let's just say whatever, then maybe I wouldn't have got it. Maybe I wouldn't have understood. So I needed this. I needed everything that came after that. And I'm going to tell you, it's never worth it. Don't do it. Just don't do it. I love y'all so much. If you wanna watch more juicy story times, click right here. If you need to get caught up on the Messy Toxic series, click right here. I love y'all so much. Thank you. And y'all don't do nothing wrong, because you might end up spending a lifetime paying for it. I wish you love, peace, and a lifetime of listening to Anise. And I'm out.